James,
your review show, aka WO, and I'm gonna react to the bizarre beef of James Harden and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah, bro.
Harden and Giannis basically have opposite play styles. Harden is known for his passing ability, isolation scoring, and that iconic step back three. And then you have Giannis, an absolute freak of nature and a two-way dominant big.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie, bro. James Harden's a better he's a better shooter, three-point shooter than Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a good three-point shooter, don't get me wrong, but James Harden, he's a very good three-point shooter.
And for most of their careers, they've been in opposite conferences. They've only matched up in the playoffs one time. So it's just bizarre. They've had such a heated rivalry.
Yeah, it's not a beef that really makes sense on paper, but it all stems from the 2019 MVP race. Giannis took home the award, but a lot of people think that Harden, who was putting up record-breaking stats at the time, should have gotten it. That rivalry continued in the 2020 All-Star game, and honestly, it's kind of petty, but it is also really entertaining.
And James Harden, I'm not gonna lie, James Harden really do not play defense like that. He don't really play defense like that, you feel me? He's a good player and all that. He's a good offensive player, but defense, he don't really do good at defense, bro. Giannis, he's fire at defense, bro. Plus, Giannis got the reach and all that, bro.
Before we start talking about Giannis and Harden, if you haven't already, make sure to leave this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos.
So we really wanted to make a video on a player rivalry, like you got the iconic ones, Isaiah Thomas and Jordan, Magic and Bird, Shaq and Kobe, LeBron and Steph, and they all have obvious reasons for their beefs. Isaiah and Mike matched up in the playoffs in the late 80s, the early 90s, of course, there's the Pistons walking off the court. Magic and Bird, that dates back to them in college, and then them battling it out in the 80s for the Lakers and Celtics. Shaq and Kobe, of course, played on the same team. They had a three-peat together, but they were both alphas and just didn't get along at the end. And then you have LeBron.
Two alphas didn't get along.
And Steph, who actually really like each other, but
yeah, the LeBron and Steph thing is an on-court thing. It's a friendly competition. I feel like it's a friendly competition between both Bron and Steph.
There was a period of time where they matched up in the finals for 4 straight seasons, so those all make sense. But this Harden and Giannis one was just out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, they've only played 26 total games against each other in their entire careers. Only 4 have come in the playoffs. Like you said in the intro, they play completely different positions. They play nothing alike. They're really never compared to each other, except when people are talking about, top 10 players in the NBA. And before we get into, the obvious catalysts for this beef, this all actually kicked off in 2014 during Giannis's second season in the league. This is just their 3rd matchup overall.
Giannis was a sophomore that season.
Late in the game, things are mostly over. Harden is in isolation against Giannis, and Giannis forces the offensive foul. Says a little something to him, and Harden, shoves him. It's not much. The refs don't even get involved. No one gets a technical. You see it a lot, but it's really the first little spark of this whole beef.
Yeah, basically is a nothing burger, but just given what happened in the future, you do have to note it. And the other thing I want to mention to give some more context, we got to talk about Harden's past MVP races, because he could have had maybe 2 or 3 MVPs by this time if things went a little bit differently. In 2015, Steph obviously deserved it. He won the MVP, he won the title, and he wins.
But some people that season, some people saying that Russell Westbrook deserved it, just by the way he played 2014, 2015 season, bro. But the OKC didn't make the playoffs in 2015.
Unanimous the next season, so it doesn't really get talked about, but for a lot of that season, this was a very close race. Steph pulls away at the end. 2016, like I mentioned, Steph wins it easily. No one else receives a vote. But then in 2017, again, Russ pulls away at the end. He averages the triple-double, but that was a very close race for much of the season.
Then you got 2018, he finally gets his MVP, wins it pretty comfortably as the Rockets have the best record in the NBA. And then 2019, going for back-to-back. Well, yeah, we'll get into that. Giannis, on the other hand, going into the 2019 season at age 23, this was really his first year he started to get some real buzz for MVP. You know, he had finished in the 6-7 range a couple years prior.
Giannis wasn't even in his prime yet, you feel me? Giannis wasn't even in his prime yet, bro.
He was on his way up, but the 2019 season was the first year he, like, exploded onto the NBA scene as one of the best players in the league.
Now Giannis is in his prime now.
Both started the season really well. Giannis was player of the month in November, led the Bucks to a 7-0 record to start the season. He extended that to a 25-10 record heading into the new year. Once again, got player of the month honors in December. Harden didn't win player of the month in November because for some reason it went to Tobias Harris. Apparently he led the Clippers to an 11-3 record to start the year, but Harden was averaging like 31, 6, and 7, and Tobias Harris was averaging like 21, 6, and 7, or what? 21, like 6 and 2, actually, something like that.
Just so funny. Harden does win it in December. He joins Giannis, and this was the year Harden was putting up video game numbers. It gets brought up too much, like announcers will just say that. This was true. Just through the first 33 games, these are some of the stat lines he had. 54 points against the Wizards, 50 versus the Lakers, 47 versus the Jazz, 45 versus the Celtics, 43 against both the Pistons.
Damn, crazy numbers, bro.
And the Grizzlies, 41 against the Thunder on Christmas Day, another 41 versus the Pelicans, and 240 bombs against the Pacers and the Cavs, and we hadn't even hit the new year yet. This is the first 33 games.
So basically, going into the new year at this point in the season, there was like a 1 in 3 chance that Harden was going to drop 40 points in any game he played.
Basically.
Yeah, he continued to light it up in January. He averaged 43.6 points, 8.7 rebounds, 7.6 assists per game in the month of January. I mean, it's like some Chris Smooth my career numbers or something like that. It's crazy.
And that includes a stretch where he had 57 points 3 times in a 9-day span. To give you some context here, there are 12 players in NBA history who have scored 55 or more points in 3 or more games, and Harden did that in a 9-day span.
It took him a week and a half to do what even the greatest of the greats spend their entire careers trying to do.
Just absolutely.
That was prime James Harden, bro.
Absolutely ridiculous. And we did gotta mention in their first head-to-head matchup, completely by accident, but Giannis just straight nails Harden in the face.
He hits him good too. Giannis is trying to
hit him straight in his dome. Bro, he should have hit him in his beam.
Be like LeBron or like Jokic with like this cross-court one-handed like whip pass, and he just clocks Harden right in the face. And I do love Harden's reaction after the game where like the reporters are asking him like, oh, do you think it was intentional? He's like, no, it wasn't intentional. I just wish I saw it coming.
I wish I would have saw it.
Yeah, fair play to Harden for like not getting mad at that because yeah, it was completely on accident. And the rest of the season kind of just followed the same playbook. You had Giannis who was putting up great stats on a very good team, in fact, the best team in the league. And on the other side, you had Harden who was putting up just historical numbers, but his team wasn't as good. In fact, they had a big dip in wins from the prior season where they were absolutely unstoppable. Eventually, Giannis pulls away with the MVP award. And in some ways, I actually do feel bad for Harden because the MVP award just every year, the criteria.
And mind you, Giannis wasn't even in his prime when he won his first MVP, bro.
Just goes for something different. There is no consistency. Like, take the case in 2017. I don't think he deserved to win MVP, but Russ puts up absolutely historic season, averages a triple-double, but his team isn't quite as good, and Harden puts up great numbers on a team that's better. 2019, it's kind of flipped. Giannis puts up a great season. Team is way better, but Harden puts up this historical season, a season basically we had never seen before, but Giannis wins the MVP. Again, I think Giannis deserved in 2019. I think Russ deserved in 2017, but I do feel for Harden a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, 2017.
Yeah, Harden feel like he basically got robbed twice those years, bro.
Problem is, Russ puts up a historical season and honestly kind of exceeds expectations considering the Thunder lost Durant. And then in 2019, I would be fine giving the award to Harden if his team didn't regress so much. I mean, they went from 65 wins to 53 wins. That's a big drop off. If they went from 65 wins to even like,
I remember Carmelo. Who remember Carmelo and Anthony in the Rockets, bro?
59.
Do y'all feel like Carmelo, like Like, hadn't he like stayed there like for a little longer? Hadn't like, you feel me? Like they would have like, did like better. You feel me? Do y'all think losing Carmelo was a good thing or a bad thing? Let me know.
58 wins, you could just be like, okay, they lost a few games where they shouldn't have, maybe they rested some guys, had some injuries, whatever. 65 wins to 53 wins and the first seed to the fourth seed, like, I don't feel good, rewarding a guy with an individual achievement while he's putting up better numbers than he did the year before, and his team got worse, like significantly worse too.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair, but Harden was still salty about this MVP award. Going into the offseason, he had an interview with GQ magazine where he did give Giannis his props. He was like, the kid had a fantastic season, but he was also like, 10, 15 years from now, no one's gonna believe what I was doing. You have to go back to like the days of Kareem to see these numbers, which probably even have to go back to the days of Wilt, more likely. And then he also was on a radio show where he said the media narrative cost him the MVP. Classic Harden, to be honest.
Oh, those damn media narratives just always costing Harden those individual awards, right? Not the fact that your team lost 12 more games than they did the year prior.
Well, the media didn't vote him MVP, but he won the Players' MVP award, so he's always got that.
Well, maybe it was the media that beat them in those 12 additional games.
Yeah.
They were suiting up against Stephen A. and, Skip, yeah, Skip back at this time. So after 2019-20, the Bucks and Rockets faced.
Yeah, that's when they had Westbrook
off in the season opener. And at one point early in the first quarter, Giannis airballed a three, as he, occasionally does, and Harden very emphatically, ducks for cover like there's a sniper out there in the crowd, A classic celebration when a guy airballs a shot, although Giannis did get the last laugh. Bucks beat the Rockets in Houston. And just when you thought the beef was kind of, dying out naturally or running its course, we get to the All-Star draft. LeBron and Giannis are drafting their teams. We got down to 3 starters left. Giannis is up to pick. He had to pick between Harden, Kemba, and Trae Young, which, there's one obvious pick in here, right?
Yeah, I'm taking Harden for sure. And he's like, it's between Kemba and Trae. And of course, Charles Barkley, the instigator, has to come in and say, you don't want the dribbler?
Sounds like a Batman villain who makes, basketball his gimmick.
And Giannis is like, no, I need someone that's actually going to pass the ball. Which is
calling James Harden a ball hog, right?
Fighting words.
But at the same time, doesn't make any sense. Harden was like 10th in assists. He ends up taking Kemba, who was like 36. I do like it, though. I do like the petty words. So he takes Kemba. Like I said, LeBron, I wish you would have taken Trae, because it would have just added for some more beef to make it even spicier. But LeBron makes the obvious pick. He takes Harden, and Giannis ends up with Trae. And then during the All-Star game, this was actually a year where it was close. It's a very rare year. It was a great All-Star game. Down the stretch, Team LeBron.
The game was competitive, though. Usually, NBA All-Star games don't be competitive. Like usually All-Star games really don't be competitive. But this game was competitive, though.
Wins, but Giannis in a post-game interview says their strategy down the stretch was to target Harden on every possession, whoever he was guarding. To be fair to Harden, Team LeBron outscored Team Giannis 32-22 in the fourth, and Harden was the only starter for Team LeBron with a positive plus-minus, so he can say that. The game plan didn't work.
Yeah, and then a couple weeks later during an interview with Rachel Nichols, James Harden was asked about the situation with Giannis, and he was just like, I don't get the joke, And then when he was talking about play style, Harden was like, I wish I could just run and be 7 feet and dunk. That takes no skill at all. I have to learn how to play basketball and have skill. Someone tell all the 7-footers in the NBA now that all they have to do is just dribble to the basket and dunk. You'll have a lot of guys averaging 27 and 15 out of nowhere.
Yeah, DeAndre Ayton next season, I expect you to be playing like Giannis, just going coast to coast, swatting shit, dunking the ball on everyone. Yeah, that's not how it works.
Yusuf Nurkic, go dribble to the basket and dunk on guys.
After that moment, the beef kind of died down. They did actually match up in the playoffs in 2021, but of course, Harden gets injured in Game 1. He comes back, but just was a shell of himself. There was one moment in Game 6, though, where Giannis is taking his sweet time to do his free throw routine, and Harden's like, come on, man. He's waving his arms, this is ridiculous, which, again, I'm on Harden's side for that. That was ridiculous. But from there, the beef kind of died down. Giannis wins that series. He wins the title that year, and we haven't haven't gotten much sense, but I just want to give a shout out to both of them. We don't have many player beefs in the modern NBA. Call it petty, call it childish, call it whatever you want to say. It was entertaining as hell.
It's both petty and childish, but it is a lot of fun.
Okay, that's...
What do you guys think of this?
Okay, that's the vid. So yeah, bro, like, this beef, like, I feel like this beef was, like, just part of the game. It's a friendly I mean, this is competition, you know, it's a competition, like, it's competition, you know, it's competition to see, like, who's better and all that. But, like, but in your opinion, who y'all feel like is a better player, Giannis or Harden? Let me know. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the vibes. We're checking out you are.